with those ribs, it's actually pretty cool how he has connective tissue that's connected to his ribs, to all of his intestines and organs that are on the inside, which not only keeps him in place while he's hanging upside down like that and doesn't all slosh to one side,
Okay.
but if he were to fall out of the rainforest, they can withstand falls from up to 100 feet because all of that,
It's connected and braced
it's
and-
all connected in, and so it doesn't have a whole lot of room to slosh around.
I have a medical background, by the way. I'm an ultrasound tech, so that's why I was thinking when you were saying all that, I was like, oh, yeah, okay, that makes sense. That's cool.
Yeah, and so you think about us, if we were to get into a car accident, a lot of the issues that we run along, the impact that can hurt us is everything sloshing around inside of us.
Yeah, you keep moving when the car stops.
Yeah, exactly. And so for them, it's not that big of an issue. So if they were to get something like, a jaguar or an ocelot or something that was daring enough to go out to the end of the branch with them, and anything in the rainforest that's after a sloth that he sees coming out of his bad news to a sloth. So his goal is to just to get to the end of the branch, get to the end of the branch only goes out so far. And so if they both hit the rainforest floor, the ocelot or jaguar or whatever is after them will almost certainly not make that fall, and the sloth will almost certainly survive that fall. And so the sloth will just look over at the jaguar or ocelot that was after them and just go, "Aw."
Oh, yeah, right.
You go right back up the tree.
Yeah. How you like me now, buddy?
And you're welcome to go over there and pet on them too while she's holding them. Take all the pictures.
They have been, we had lots of conversations and stuff before we got here about all of the different animals and how, only listen to rules, only do something if you've been given permission.
Yes. Yeah.
Like the little baby camel out there kept sticking his head out and moaning and groaning his size, and I was like, I would pet you, buddy, but I don't know if it's okay.
Yeah.
Because I was like, we were told to just hang out right here and so we'll be right back. I was like, so don't touch nothing.
Yeah.
Cause I know with babies sometimes they're in quarantine or
Yeah. Well, it's good you guys are smart thinking about things like that, because not everybody thinks that way.
Well,
So
see, I'm here for the animals. Like, I love the animals. That's what I told her. I was like, these people know how to take care of them. If they've got a rule, it's a rule for a reason. We may not understand it, but we just gotta follow it. Just do it. I know. He's closing his eyes every now and then. I know you get so comfy.
Yeah, he will take a good little cat nap on us. So both Dash and Zoe, we got them from the same breeder, and so he has been breeding sloths and doing research and all of the things for 30 years. And so he's actually a doctor of veterinary medicine, so he has all of the information and tools and knowledge to be able to, take care of things if things were to ever go south. And so he has a lot of research and everything under his belt, and he's been doing it for a really long time. And so Flash came from a whole different situation. So from where Flash was, the facility that we got him from was basically just, he stayed behind the glass the whole time, and he never interacted with anybody. He was never fed his dinner like hand feeding or anything like that. He just got his dinner in a plate and, left alone. And so you can imagine.
Take that picture. Abby, look, take a picture. She doing something interesting back there.
I don't like it by the camera.
Bottom right area. Oh, you were too slow.
He'll
You're slower than a sloth. That's bad.
And so Flash, we've had him for almost 3 years now. And so for the first 3 years of his life, he was pretty used to just not being handled, not being interacted with or anything like that. And so it took John about 2 years of really just working with him, spending time in there, talking to him, getting him used to our voices and everything before he would slowly start to eat out of our hands. And so now we can feed him little sticks of vegetables and he'll eat it like a little reverse Pez dispenser. But it took him a while to get acclimated to us for sure.
I gotta build that trust, make sure they're safe.
But on the other hand, our babies, so Dash and Zoe, they both were bred for this. And so the time that they were just a few days old, the mothers had already been clicker trained to know that when they hear the little clicker noise.
There you go.
And so when they hear this little clicker noise, they get a treat. and the breeder would borrow baby for about 10-15 seconds and then give baby right back to mom
So
before
they
she's
learned
even
that it's
done with the
okay
treat.
to,
Yeah.
yeah.
And so it's always a positive interaction that he would associate with people interacting with him.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what they knew from a very young age. And so slowly, as they got a little bit older, he would increase that time by just a little bit more. And by the time that the mothers had fully weaned them by around 5 or 6 months old, they were completely used to hanging on to people for 30 minutes to an hour at a time. And they were comfortable with that. And so before they were to leave the program, they have to pass this final ambassador test, which means that basically he loves hanging out in this basket. And so it would basically be like the breeder would be holding the baby and offer something that they were really interested, really like to do. So like whether it be a hammock or a specific basket, somewhere they really like to be hanging out with. And so they would offer that and see if the baby would rather just be with a human or if they would rather go back to where they would, where they were most comfortable. And so if they do pass that ambassador test, and that means they get to come to a facility like this to be handled a lot. But if they didn't, and they would rather just kind of chill out on their own, kind of like Flash, then they would go to somewhere like a zoo where they didn't really do encounters like this that were more hands-on.
Yeah.
And so, but you could imagine that obviously we had Flash first, but when we first got in contact with this breeder, we went through rigorous questioning, and he figured out how we had everything set up, what our knowledge was,
Good
how
for
we,
him.
yes.
Yeah, that's.
Exactly, and so there is no reputable breeder in the United States that would sell a sloth to the general public without prior knowledge to owning sloths, because there is so much work and so much effort and so much research that goes into owning one of these animals that it should not be readily available to the public.
Yeah.
And so we have obviously a lot of experience with Flash already, and knowing all of the things to do and not to do, and how sensitive their diets and their temperature requirements are, because they can't regulate their own body temperature. So you can tell it's pretty warm in here, and that's not just because we don't run the AC, it's because we have to keep it 78 degrees in here. So for them, their sweet spot,
the jungle, yeah.
their sweet spot is between 78 and 85 degrees. And if it were to drop much below 78 degrees, they could either enter what's called torpor, which is what a lot of people refer to as hibernation, but it's more so an adaptive trait that they've learned to kind of shut everything down and reserve all of their energy that they can in times of stress. But if they were not to, come back out of the energy deficit where, food was to be readily supplied or the temperature was to rise again, then that would be the demise of the animal. They cannot digest food when the temperature goes so low. I'm gonna hang this up too so you can look in there. So you can see Zoe sitting right over there. She is 16 months old. She's just taking her a good little cat nap right now. And so with Dash, I really enjoy interacting with Dash and everything, because he is a lot more acclimated to touch, like around his ears, his
That's what I was
belly,
just
his
doing, was
thighs.
petting around his ears.
Yes, and so with him, he was our second baby, and so he got, you can imagine having a first child and a second child. The first child, you want to do everything right, you haven't had experience, with a baby before.
Very cautious and careful, and
And so if they don't like being changed, their diaper being changed this way, you change it a different way. You always just kind of cater to what works for them. And so that was the same thing with Zoe. When we first got Zoe, if she would voice, okay, I don't really like being touched right there on my belly, we just wouldn't do it. And so she has learned that she doesn't like being touched on her belly, and she doesn't like being touched on her sides, and she doesn't like being touched around the ears. And so pretty much the only thing that you can do with her is just real slow strokes down your back, like you're doing with Dash. But anything else, she'll let you know if you get too close to her belly or her ears or what have you. And so with Dash, we're definitely trying to acclimate him a little bit better to touch like that.
Well, I did a sloth encounter at a zoo down in Enclosure a long time ago, and they were older like that. You didn't get to hold them or anything, but you got to feed them a little bit, hang out in there with them. You got to pet them a little bit, and the lady showed us where the ears were and said that they really like to be rubbed, behind the ears.
Yeah.
And so I was rubbing him and felt his ear, and I was like, oh yeah, I remember. So I started scratching them, and that's when his eyes started closing.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, it's universal, all sloths like behind their ears rubbed. Yeah, closing the eyes again.
And so all of our sloths that we have here are two-fingered Linnaeus sloths. We used to call it two-toed Linnaeus sloths, but as you can see, they all have 3 toes on their back feet, and the front feet are where they differ in the number of claws that they have. And so we have the two-toed here in the United States because their diets are a lot more variable, so we can give them things like zucchini and squash and sweet potato and things like that, and they're okay with that. But the 3-fingered sloths have a really much more sensitive diet, and so they can really only eat the leaves of the sarcopia trees, which is what grows in the rainforest. And so they've been working on trying to get a few groves of those growing in Florida, but haven't had great success with that yet. So until something like that were to really work out, you would basically have to own, like, if you were to own a 3-toed sloth, you basically have to have like a private jet as well that would go down and get, loads and loads of the sarcopia leaves and bring them back for them to be able to eat. Yeah. So it would be similar to owning a koala. We don't have their diet that grows here in the United States, and so we'd have to usually go down and, get that somewhere else. So it'd be pretty difficult to.
Come take a picture. His tongue's halfway sticking out. He's got the doobie face. The dirt face. Look, he's gonna give it to you. You see the little tongue? Before he takes it back in. Oh, you're too slow once again, kid. You want your turn? Look, he's turning around looking at you. Look up. Oh, you like her. You're interested in her every time she comes over. What's up, buddy? Oh my word. I'm holding a sloth and there's one above me. What's up, man? I have to reach down here. What you doing? Oh, I thought it looked like you were coming.
He's wondering if we've got any food down here
I
for him.
don't have any bites. I'm sorry. Look at him looking at you. He likes you, Addie. Hey, Flash. I'm sorry I don't have any bites.
Anything good? Is that what you want? Want that one? He says, "Where's the green beans?"
You want green beans? I like green beans too.
What about some zucchini? Good. Nope. He says, "That's not the green beans." His favorite are green beans. And when he doesn't get them, then he goes over in the corner and pouts.
Oh, buddy, you gonna pout. Don't go to the corner and pout. Oh, what are you? I feel like you're coming for me. What is up?
He may reach down and give you a little hairdo.
Uh-oh. You don't think my hair's pretty today? Gotta fix it for me?
Our social media guy, Kevin, he'll come in here and feed Zoe in the morning, and he'll be sitting down there in the chair like that, and Flash will reach down and start combing through his hair trying to get his attention so that he'll feed him as well.
Yeah, but that's a great clip for social media, though.
Oh, yeah.
What's up, buddy?
He says, "Do you got any green beans for me?"
I don't have any green beans. If I had green beans, I'd pick you up. Oh. You ready for your turn, Harry? And the sloth was waiting. He reached out for you.
You want to try to feed him this little green bean?
Let him sniff it, and he's like, oh, that's what
You
I
gotta bring
grab
it
it.
closer to his mouth.
There you go. Oh, I dropped it.
So you have to give it to him real close to his mouth for him to get it. Yeah.
He's like, yes, thank you. That's what I was wanting.
I like those type of green beans.
I was about to say, those are your favorite type of green beans
Yeah.
too, Eddie. You are adorable. Yes, you are. That little mouth, that little tongue. Oh my God.
And so they actually have really poor eyesight. You can see how dilated their pupils are.
Mm-hmm.
And so they have a really narrow field of vision. And so for sloths, they have virtually no peripheral vision. So it's almost like if you were to cut both of your hands together and look through it just like that, that's
Oh,
all
wow.
they see.
Hey, buddy. I don't have any. Oh, hi there.
Do you want to get the green bean?
You want a green bean? He just used his hand to bring my hand a little closer to
Yep,
him.
yep.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to startle you.
And so for our babies, we have to always move real slow because they're still getting used to all of the movements and things that we do. And so you can imagine not having any peripheral vision and all of a sudden
That's-
something coming into view.
That's what started him, is he was looking up there, and I was just doing the same thing I've been doing this whole time, but he was looking somewhere else and his attention was moved.
Yeah.
And so when I put my hand back on him and petted him, he flinched. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Not your fault. Your attention got distracted. I didn't change anything that I was doing.
That's all Flash.
I don't have anybody. I'm sorry.
And so you can see.
I don't have anything.
Flash.
I'm sorry, buddy.
And you can see how much his claws can actually curve inwards. And like I said, that for them, it takes no energy for them to have
That's
it
just
curl in,
natural,
yes.
yeah.
And so for them to actually have to straighten out their hands is what takes energy and what takes work for them to do.
He's coming for you again, honey. You're funny.
And so sloths, comparative to their body size, are about 3 times stronger than we are. So obviously we could overpower a sloth, but if they had the same type of, if we had the same type of strength that they had, that would mean that a newborn would be able to hold themselves up with one hand.
Oh my
And
goodness.
so that's what they are able to do. From the time that they are born, they are able to withstand all of their body weight with extended on just one arm holding them up.
Somebody's going back to sleep over here. You're supposed to hold him too. You want to sit down and hold him? I don't know what time it is, if we have to officially switch over at the.
It's been about 30 minutes, so if you
Switch
guys
time.
wanted to switch, we can. And so if you just want to sit right there, I will get Flash buddy, I don't have anything else for you.
Just sit down, baby. He can't reach you. He can't reach me. He's trying real hard to reach me, but he can't. Oh my word, you're so cute.
You got to unlatch from her. He's got your shirt there.
Oh, yeah, come on, buddy.
All right. Now, if you guys wanted to switch seats and have you sit right
Oh,
there in the
okay.
back seat, a little bit easier if you kind of can slouch back and.
Gotcha. You're so cool.
And you're a lot shorter than your mom, so he definitely can't reach you, so
I
you're all
still don't
right.
have anything, buddy. I'm sorry.
And so with Dash, I can probably just sit him down in your lap, and all you'll have to do is just put, support him just underneath the booty.
Just kind of like you do a baby.
Nice little strokes just down his back. There we go.
I know, isn't he sweet?
Buddy.
Oh, hey dude, I'm sorry, I still don't have anything for you.
Hey Michaela, I'm gonna take a minute to eat. Can you just turn this off when you're done?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Hey, sweet boy. My arms are very dirty.
Remember that she said you could just kind of tap
Tap,
that.
and if he doesn't release, just gonna move his little hand.
Oh, I don't have anything to eat. I'm sorry.
You can hold this bowl kind of near him too, if you want to have that. That's probably what Flash is after.
What is he doing?
Is he hurting your arm again? Because I see him kind of poke you. Okay, you let go. There you go. Here, buddy, you want this? Buddy, I'm sorry.
Oh my goodness.
And so if he ever gets like too tight, pinching you or anything, just remember that he's not meaning to, he's not meaning to be mean or anything, that's just his natural way of having his hands.
I don't have anything, buddy.
color differences between the two. So when they're newborns and when they're still really young, they're like this chocolatey brown color. But as they get bigger and their adult fur starts to grow in, then they get a little bit more cream color like that. You're gonna try to get your sunglasses.
I like those.
You're so cute.
You want some bites?
What else we have? It says, where's the green beans? Zucchini. And so-
Talk about turning your nose up, sir.
Yeah. And there's even been some times where I've offered him a piece and he got one side of it and I've twisted it around and offered him the other side and then he takes it.
No, you can't have the phone. No.
You act like you're starving and we haven't fed you in days, sir.
It's like the baby's getting all the attention.
Oh, he's sweet. He wants some- Oh, I feel a sloth in my hair.
Flash, buddy. There, is that what you want? Yep. Yep. He is a little diva.
That's hilarious.
And
They only want the green beans, huh?
what is he doing with his arm over there?
He's just trying to find, here, hold your arm out a little bit. See, he's just trying to find like a comfy spot to just hold on. See, there you go. Remember, what do they hold on to all day? Trees and branches, right?
Yeah.
He's gotta hug you. He's just trying to get a good spot so he feels safe. Okay, babe. I don't have anything to, oh, no, don't mind me, it's not
Yeah,
funny.
their eyesight's really poor, so they can't tell the difference between a finger and a snack. Not that they want to bite you, they're just
Yeah.
trying to figure out what they're after.
Oh, he's sticking his head down the
You
shirt.
must have got a green bean, you up there crunching.
Oh, it's-
Yeah, that's the good thing about a sloth is you can usually snap your hand back fast enough to not get got.
he's
Another-
sticking his hand in my shirt. Oh. He's leaving.
Say, no, don't leave.
Don't leave us.
So another kind of cool thing about sloths is that they can eat ravishly as long as they're hungry, as you can see. But as soon as they're full and they don't feel like they need to eat anymore, they can just turn it off. And so unlike myself, after I already have a full belly of food, I still want a sweet treat.
Right.
And they don't feel the need to. And so you can imagine, if it takes you already 30 days to digest everything that you have in your stomach, then they kind of have to have that, you know. If they were to just eat and eat and eat like I do all the time, they would get so full that they wouldn't be able to digest everything. And so sloths already only use the bathroom every 7 to 10 days, so about once a week. And every time that they go, they expel about 1/3 of their entire body weight. And so Flash here is usually about 15 pounds. So that would be like him eating and eating and eating and eating some more, and then getting up to be about 20 pounds before he uses the bathroom, and then dropping right back down to 15 pounds again. So that would be like a 5-pound bathroom trip. And that's not just solids, that's liquids as well, so they also wait once a week to pee.
Just hold more and more.
Alright, but we will finish off this bag, and that is it for you.
It's like, but they're green beans, Mom.
And so I said that they have pretty terrible eyesight. imagine us losing one of our senses, our other senses tend to be heightened. And so for them, their sense of hearing and their sense of smell is pretty good. So they can't really tell the difference between me and you, but they can hear the difference. So Flash and everybody here is still learning my voice just because I've not been here as long as everybody else. But they're still, they can definitely tell the difference with John when he comes in here in the mornings. All he has to do is open up that door and pop his head in and go, "Hey, Flash." And Flash will start scurrying on down for his breakfast. And he doesn't do that
Yeah.
for just anybody.
When you when you've got those containers out, and they heard those, because both of them are like, I know those sounds.
Mhm.
It's like our kitty cats at home, we give them canned food treats every now and then, and we put them on paper plates. So we have inadvertently trained them to come running into the kitchen when they hear somebody grab two paper plates down, because it's the same exact sound. And I'm like, sorry guys, I'm feeding the kids. It's not paper plate time for y'all.
And you can tell, similar to us and our cats and dogs, they all kind of get on, routine schedules. And that's what they like to stick to. I like to know what time I'm waking up in the morning, what time I'm going to work, when I'm going to eat breakfast, when I'm going to eat lunch. And I like to have a schedule. It just helps me keep sane. And it's the same way with these guys. And so you see a lot of times people will advertise as like drop-in sloth encounters. And in places like that, you really have to do your research, because if I were to just never know what time I was gonna wake up, and my mom just came in at random times and was like, "Hey, get up," or I just didn't know when my next lunch was gonna be, and I could be starving and wondering when I'm gonna be eating, and I just wouldn't know. And sometimes it just randomly appears.
Right.
So it's the same way with them. I mean, they like to know what time they're gonna eat breakfast, what time they're gonna get dinner. They like to know when they're gonna be encountering with people. And so with Flash, when we first started doing encounters with him, it was his routine that he would come down around 10 o'clock, because we would get here around 9:30, and he's already looking through that glass trying to come in here, because he knows that he gets his breakfast out here on this branch. And so that was what time he would like to interact with us, and what time he decided that he wanted to eat breakfast. And so that's what time we started scheduling our 10 o'clock encounters.
Right.
Because that's what time that was routine for him. And then our other ones as well, so they're all starting to develop their own little encounters, their schedules from what time we do their encounters. And even if we have an encounter time that Zoe usually sees somebody at 10:30, and if for some reason we don't have somebody voted for 10:30, I usually go in there and I'll just hold her, just because that's what
She's used to it, right.
Yeah, and I would
She
hate
better
for
want
her.
nobody
Yeah.
looking at it. Then
Exactly. I mean, she always just kind of like, we'll just start peeking around and looking out the door, like, somebody gonna come in? But she knows.
Because that's enrichment and stuff for them too,
Yeah.
right? The different.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, we lived down in Gulf Shores, and I don't think it's the name anymore, but it used to be the little zoo that could down in Gulf Shores, and they did encounters and stuff, and all of their stuff was very much like that.
Yeah.
Like they got baby tigers that were going to other zoos, but you could do encounters with them throughout the day, only when they were babies, only up to a certain amount of time, because it helped them for when they went to go and be in captivity and stuff, because they were used to animals, and they could be used to humans. It could come in and get checked on,
Yeah.
Different stuff. And they did that with lemurs and sloths and all kinds of stuff. But they had the same thing too, like set schedules and times and all of it.
Yeah.
And it was really cool to watch them and the different.
And so our hope with offering these encounters and having the ambassador babies to be able to just snuggle up and have people, snuggle a sloth while they're listening to all of the information, is that you'll get your sloth fix here instead of having to go somewhere like, a lot of places, you'll go on a cruise ship, and once they dock, a lot of people will start to get off, and they'll have a little roadside petting zoo set up where they have a sloth there.
Yeah.
And some people think, well, this is their native country, and so they've got to be well treated, but they don't know how they got the sloths. And a lot of times, the conservancy agencies that are down there is really what they're struggling with, is that the natives will just go out, and what they're looking for is a baby or a young sloth that
Just take it.
may still even be on the mother. That's going to be a little bit more, not as reluctant to being handled. And so they'll get the baby or the young sloth, and oftentimes they'll dip them in a bucket of bleach to get all of the algae and moss and everything off of them that grows on them in the wild. And then if they aren't as lucky to find a young sloth and they get one that's a little bit more reluctant, oftentimes they'll hold their teeth so that they don't bite the people that are trying to work with it. And so it's really inhumane, and the way that they're treated there is something that the conservancy agencies are really struggling with. And so places like Costa Rica and Guatemala, it's their job to be telling people, don't touch sloths, don't hold sloths, don't take sloths, don't touch sloths, don't hold sloths. And so here, we want to get the message across that these sloths have been further removed from the rainforest than we are from the pilgrims that first came over.
Right,
And so they have been generations upon generations upon generations bred in captivity, that they wouldn't know what to do if they just got put out in the jungle or in the rainforest. And so the guy that first started breeding these, he got his sloth zero, so the one that started it all, from the rainforest that was injured and could not be returned to the rainforest.
Okay,
So it was an injury that would enable them from being able to do their natural, just walking around hanging and things like that in the wild that they would naturally do. You have an itch there, buddy.
Well, he was cleaning stuff off. There was pieces. That's what made me look up, as I saw little pieces of like the sawdust stuff falling. So there it goes.
Yep, he is right now.
So I think he's
Agreeing with himself.
yeah. So if stuff falls on you, Eddie, it's coming from him. Because I kind of forgot about him being up there again for a second, and I saw stuff falling, and I was like, oh yeah, he's up there.
Oh,
Yeah.
I guess
He's like, oh yeah, that guy's up there. Well, he probably can't see that well. But
Yeah.
how far? How good is? I mean, I know they have very like tunnel vision, but how is their distant? Is it?
I'm not sure about distance. I mean, they can definitely see from here to the door. But as far as telling who is who, they can't. And so they have what's called rod monochromacy, which means that they only have rod cells in their eyes and no cone cells. And the cone cells are what's responsible for seeing color, and the rod cells are what's responsible for seeing motion. So they can pick up motion very well, and they can basically just see blobs. But for as far as, seeing color, that's virtually impossible for them. And so if you've ever seen a movie with a scene where it shows night goggle vision, that's basically what they see all the time. And then on top of that, really narrow tunnel vision, like you said. And so it's really difficult for them to see what's going on around them. So that's why we always just want to see really slow and calm and relaxed with them, make them feel comfortable.
Yeah, he was fine that whole time until he got distracted by that one, and I startled him. But it was funny because I was still doing the exact same motion, hadn't changed my speed or nothing. He got distracted, and when I came back in my head, he was like, "Oh, I forgot about you." Oh, you getting your eyes closed? You going for a nap?
Yeah, he likes that little corner over there. And when we put Dash up, I can show you how Flash goes back into his room. We can open up that door and see if he wants to go in. But we have to keep it real warm in here because they can't maintain their own body temperature, so it stays warm in there as well. We have to keep it real humid in there. So we have a whole little sprinkler system set up for them in there to be able to keep it as humid as is needed.
So we've noticed like the little enclosures like this kind of are all around the farm, and little corners of places. Do the sloths go out there for?
No, the sloths stay in here, so this is Flash's enclosure, and that's Zoe's. And then Dash right now, since he's still under a year old, he stays under the main house most of the time, and then we'll bring him down in here in the evenings and when he has encounters and things like that to get used to being down here. But for the first year of
So what are those little enclosures all around the property?
So over here on the end of this barn is our birds. So we've got two. The name has literally just left me, but those.
Oh,
And
macaws,
then-
okay.
Yeah, yes, and then we've got another white bird down there as well, but I don't do the birds. Birds freak me out. I would much rather be in here with the sloths that are just chill and relaxed.
Yeah.
And go with the flow.
Yeah, the turkey's been cracking us up, man. We've been
Yeah.
cracking up with the turkey. Chris said he crashed our party last night at the campfire. we were making s'mores, and we like to melt our chocolate a little bit on the graham crackers, so we put them on the rocks around the camp. He kept trying to come up there and get them.
Yeah.
I had to give Chris the marshmallow, and I had to like bump walk towards him,
Yeah.
and every now and then he'd come back and be like, "You like turkey?" I had to fight. I was not kidding. I had to keep the turkey off of y'all's s'mores.
We're out hunting lizards.
Yeah, they were playing with the lizard on the playground. We were making the s'mores, and we were dividing and conquering. Both parents was working on each kid making one, but then the turkey spotted. We were good because everything was on the table, and we hadn't dropped anything, so he was good. But then I don't know what made him see it, but he zeroed in on it on the
Yeah.
rock, and then it was like, oh, I had to fight him the whole time.
And heaven forbid if he ever gets a marshmallow, he gets it all over him. Oh, that's
See, we didn't, he got a graham cracker that fell from us eating it, kind of how it just falls and stuff. But we did drop some marshmallow and stuff, but we pick it up and threw it in the fire because I didn't know what it would do
Yeah.
to him, or, I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah,
about
we
it.
always have to tell everybody, you can feed him the graham crackers and, little crackers that you have and stuff, but do not give him any marshmallows because he makes a mess of himself and then does not particularly like being cleaned off, so.
That's funny.
But Thomas came from a place that we used to, when we had emus and different kinds of eggs and stuff that we would have to take to go be incubated in Sweetwater. He stayed up there, and the turkey farm that they had were basically all just for meat. And so the owner told us that he was just too sweet of a turkey to go to freezer camp, and so we just took him with us since they knew that we had a little, petting zoo and everything here. So
Oh, he is a sweet turkey.
Yes.
That's adorable. He is too sweet to go to. Oh. Yeah, we were cracking up because I was like, I've just never had a turkey. We could just hang. He hung out with us all night long.
Yeah.
Even after, he was like, he's just following us for food. I'm like, the food's been put up for hours. He's not.
Yep.
The zebras came down close to the gate, so we walked all the way down there, and then the girls followed me, and then we turned around.
Yep.
Here comes the turkey.
He loves to show off.
He followed us all around.
Yep.
And then Mia, my younger one, which is why she's, because Mia's not old enough to do this yet, you put him to sleep. She saw the turkey had followed us, and she's fascinated by the turkey right now. And she went running full speed at the turkey.
Yeah.
He didn't move. He just stood there and was like, yeah, she's coming. And even cats and dogs would be hesitant about a little one running full speed at them like that, but the turkey was like, yay.
Yep.
I'm like,
It's his dream to be a house turkey.
it cracks us. We've been cracking up now. Oh, there, he hears that sound again.
Oh.
See? You have food right here, but you've not been interested in it. You smell it? You gotta smell it. She said you got good smell. He hadn't been interested in it the several times, the last few times I've offered it.
I may have fed him breakfast this morning.
He perked up with those containers.
Yeah. My daddy.
What's your nose going for? Did you smell me move that food around?
He loves the rice, but that is not his main diet, so we usually just give him those for little treats.
Yeah. You're so cute. Yeah, my husband and I were cracking up because we could keep hearing the peacocks, but we hadn't seen them yet. And then finally they hopped up on the roof or something, from where we were, and we're like, oh, okay, there they are, we can see them.
Yeah, those have unfortunately found their way to come down here. They used to just stay at the house all the time, and now they come down here and they go up the steps and they try to come in here and they poop everywhere and we have to clean up after them. So I really wish that they would just go back up to the house.
I think you got a new friend, girlie. You're putting him to sleep. And he finally settled down and said, okay, I'll just hang out right here. So, as this one, I know you said that earlier about the color, so this one will lighten up as he gets older
Yes,
and get
yeah.
like that?
So right now he still has most of his baby hairs, and his adult hairs will start to grow in, and then he'll have kind of like a bad grow out of know, if you have dark hair and
You
you
got
have to
the
grow
bad
out, you
roots,
know.
yeah.
Yeah, but then it'll all slowly start.
So
to
is
turn.
that fur and everything just as soft and everything as this is, or does it
Yeah,
change?
he's a little bit coarser.
Yeah, it
but
looks
not
coarser,
much.
that's
Yeah.
why I was asking.
Yeah, it looks like he's got a lot of split ends at the end there towards his butt, but he is still pretty soft, and we can pet him after we put Dash back up. Dash and Flash, Zoe, and then we're gonna get Chloe. All of the rhyming names.
And so this one is Dash, that's Flash.
Yes.
And you're getting,
We're gonna get Chloe. We've got
Okay.
Zoe in here.
and that's
then we'll
another
get Chloe.
baby,
Yeah, she's 16 months old.
and this one's how old?
8.5 months.
Okay. And that's 6 years.
Yes. Yep. So they've all still got a long life ahead of them, hopefully.
What you think, Beth girl? You've been awfully quiet. You've just been in heaven over there. Cause I pretty much was, so I don't know about you.
She's probably just wanting to do everything right. Come on, buddy.
It's like, I'm just checking. I hear you moving around back there. Just making sure.
And so Dash's claws are just a little bit sharper than our other two, just because he doesn't climb around as much.
To wear it down.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
the cage that we keep him in, that he stays in the basket most of the time, has branches and everything that where he has the ability to climb around if he wants to, but he would rather just stay in the basket for right now. And so his will slowly start to get dulled down, but Flash is up there, his are pretty dull from where he spends most of the time just hanging around like that. Hey, Flash.
Yeah, I've always been a big animal person. I like, so I'm always, this came across my TikTok, how I found out about y'all a while
Yeah.
back. And so we made this part of our little family vacation, do all kinds of stuff. Cause my girls are big animal friends too.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah. But yeah, my first sloth encounter, I just got to be in there with them for a little while, pet them a little bit and fed them a cucumber. So I was like, I get the whole, the baby wanted that.
And we'll hopefully be getting our other baby here soon, but it's all up to whenever the mother weans them.
Right,
So we'll
yeah.
get her as soon as she's weaned, and when she passes the ambassador test, then she'll be.
Yeah,
coming this
can't
way.
wait for the timeline on it, I just don't know.
So we had one lined up that had just been weaned, and they went to do the final ambassador test, and she was gonna come here afterwards if she passed it, but she ended up not passing it, so she'll go somewhere else, like a zoo or somewhere that they don't require that they do,
As much, yeah.
encounters and stuff like that.
Hey, you're so cute. Oh, you're adorable.
My younger one got to do the mini moo and petting zoo yesterday since she couldn't do this,
Yeah.
and she loved it. I was excited for the Highland cows, but I had no idea they were gonna be as sweet as they were.
Yes. They're sweethearts.
They're just big old babies.
Mhm.
They'd come up to you and just lean against you and look up at you like, hey, you gonna love on me?
And that followed me everywhere.
Yeah, Sweet Thing, the goat.
Yes.
She took a liking to my little one. Followed her all over that whole field. Like Mia wouldn't even be petting her, and all of a sudden she'd feel a little bump.
Oh
And
my
she'd look back
goodness.
there and it was little thing, Sweet Thing.
Aw.
We got through, we came out, we were standing up here talking to the turkey. Sweet Thing laid down against the fence
Yeah.
up there where Mia could keep, like, she stayed there for probably 30 minutes after we had
Aw.
gotten out of the farm.
I'm surprised she didn't escape. Sweet thing.
She did try a couple of times,
Times. They must have put some more boards up or something, because she is just strutting around here all the time like she owns the place. Like, hey guys, how you doing?
I can get out, and you don't know how.
Yeah.
But yeah, she took a liking to me, it was funny. It's good stuff, isn't it, kid? Get to go back to school and tell people that you fed a sloth and snuggled a sloth. Done some pretty cool things this trip, kid. We also went to Rock City and Ruby Falls,
Yeah.
and so they were just like, Just walking around like, what?
Where are you guys from?
Huntsville area.
Oh, okay.
Hey, buddy.
You can clean yourself.
Yeah, we,
Hey.
What's up?
Oh, he's just.
It is
She's
about
about
that
to get
time.
him.
I will
look, he's
give
getting
you patched here. There you go. So I will set him back here in his basket, although he will probably be reluctant. Found all of our green beans, I don't know why they were underneath his basket, but
Flash is like, I can take care of those for you.
I have to actually peel him off of me to get him back to go into his basket.
So that's good.
So I will open up this door here for Flash and we'll see if he wants to go in here. Come on, Flash. Hey, Flash. Wanna go back in there? Wanna come back in here? What do you think? He says, well, I'm in the middle of grabbing myself, lady. Well, we'll let him hang out if he wants to, but go ahead and end this.
He's got more shavings falling, down some more. Good job, buddy.
Yes, I'm landing on me, Rick.